Esse podcast faz parte do site Fambonanet. Acesse fambonanet.com.br.
Muito bem, pessoal, estamos aqui para mais uma edição do Black Yellow Brasil Podcast, uma edição de última hora, uma das mais especiais que vamos gravar aqui. Meu nome é Ricardo Rezende e eu serei o host mais uma vez improvisado, porém por uma ótima causa. Estamos recebendo aqui um grande convidado, um dos maiores nomes que cobre o Steelers há tantos e tantos anos para conversar com a gente. Eu já deixo o disclaimer que esse podcast será gravado em inglês, mas vamos procurar disponibilizar para vocês as informações e a transcrição dos áudios em português no fambonanet.com.br e os principais momentos no nosso Twitter. So, we have here David Bryan from the Steelers Depot, also the co-host of the Terrible Podcast, is with us today. Also with me, I have Kyle Mello and Kaique Tomia, as you already know, our friends. So Dave, say hi to our friends here in Brazil.
Thanks. Hello. Thanks for having me on. Glad to be with you guys.
So Dave, let's start talking about this huge moment, this great moment that the Steelers live. We usually talk about in our podcast that is as Dick LeBeau always say, it's a great day to be alive. It's a great moment to be alive, to be a Steelers fan in these days. So what is your expectations for our season, and the team is performing? How do you expect until this week?
Yeah, basically, look, this season 6-0. Here they are, the only undefeated team right now remaining in the NFL. And prior to the season, I had this team going. Usually I usually predict the Steelers to go around 10-6 every year, but I had a good feeling about this season. The defense. You have Ben Roethlisberger coming back from the serious injury last year, and just everything was shaping up that I thought this team could win 11 or 12 games this year, and obviously a Super Bowl caliber team if things break right for them, and here they are 6 games into the season already and 6-0. I think that's probably a game better or 2 games better than a lot of people thought this team would be. And now you enter probably one of probably about 3 or 4 biggest games remaining left on the schedule for them. Obviously 2 more against the Baltimore Ravens, with the first one being Sunday in Baltimore. We're going to find out exactly what this team is all about. This is a Steelers team that really statistically over the years hasn't had a lot of success in Baltimore overall in the Mike Tomlin era. Baltimore obviously gets the luxury of the bye week thanks to everything that's happened in the pandemic right now. So that's another thing that's a plus in their category there. But look, I mean, it's an exciting week here. We're going to learn a lot about the 2020 Steelers on Sunday at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore.
Kyle, Kaique, you have something to talk to Davey too about this?
I want to make a specific question. It's been like a taboo talk about it. Maybe some people are like, we shouldn't touch this subject right now. But are we supposed to be worried about Minka's playing right now? I see a lot of people on your thoughts, on your opinion, because I see a lot of people, especially on Twitter, on the internet, saying that he's not playing as well as he was in 2019. Particularly, I don't think it's possible for him to have a year like he had in 2019. That was an insane year, and he's still too young. But I do think the level of playing that he's showing doesn't match what I expected from him for the 2020 season. So do you think we should be a little worried already about him, or is that just like too early to think about that? It's just course, the game plan has been different this year, and the opponents have been going away from him. And when they're exploring him, they're throwing everything at him. I don't know why he's not having those splash plays as often as he had in 2019.
Yeah, and you're right. A lot of people seem to be concerned about that. But look, I mean, just a couple of games ago against the Browns, we saw him read, basically in what they like to call a cover one robber type situation there, and Baker Mayfield just stared down his receiver, and Minka read it and intercepted it and took it to the house there. Now, obviously, that's the biggest play he's made this season. They're moving him around a lot into defense, and I think a lot of us, a lot of Steeler fans got a little spoiled there right when Minka came on the scene there. Especially right out of the chute against the 49ers there in his first game. He had a really impactful game there. And then fast forward the next 4 or 5 games there, he seemed like he was making a splash play every game. And then obviously the big the 100-yard pick six in the game against the Colts, and then all of a sudden it just stopped. Because opposing quarterbacks got used to where he was at on the field. They used him mostly as a post free safety for the most part last year. They wanted to try to make his transition into the defense a lot easier. And I think basically a lot of people got spoiled. I mean, how many times do you see safeties around the league make those kind of big plays on a week in, week out basis? Look, was it a little disappointing that he ended the season that the way he did last season? Yes. Is it a little bit disappointing that it took until the Cleveland game to really making a big impact play? Yes. But for the most part, and I just wrote about this on Steelers Depot just before I got on with you guys. This defense, if you look at it overall, is about 12 plays away from being elite status. You have 3 pass plays that have gone for 40 yards or more. One against the Giants, one against Denver, and then the one that happened against the Titans on Sunday. And 2 of those ended up in the end zone with touchdowns. So not only do you have it working against you that you gave up what we like to call double explosive plays, which are a huge no-no. They ended up in 2 of them ended up in the end zone on top of it. And then you throw in 7 additional third down plays that went for more than 20 yards. And then you throw in the long 70-something yard run against the Eagles for a touchdown. You have a total of about 12 plays. And that's really what the difference has been so far. That's why we cannot call this Steelers defense elite yet. Now obviously, to me, the biggest concern about Minka so far is the tackling so far. He likes to try to throw that shoulder instead of wrapping up in that game against last couple of games. I think you saw that. And then we see the kind of the bad angle on A.J. Brown in the game against the Titans on Sunday there. And really, I think if you look at the all 22 on that, I think Minka thought Vince Williams was going to get a hand on that ball. And I think Minka was waiting for the ball to come out on the other side of Vince instead of being behind Vince. And I think he just kind of misjudged it. He took a false step in there, and you can't do that against today's premier athletes, at the wide receiver position, especially with A.J. Brown. And you take one false step with a guy in an open field like that, and he's in the end zone 70-something yards later there. So that's a long answer to question, but no, I think it's too early to be worried about Minka. I think he's probably got a couple more splash plays coming this year. And the biggest thing that you want to look for right now, as far as the defense goes moving forward, especially the pass defense, is let's not give up the third down and longs, and let's stay away from giving up these double explosive plays that go in the end zone for a touchdown.
Dave, my question to you is regarding offense. We've been having a really, really good play in these last weeks. Ben came back really well. We've been having this amazing season with Claypool, Deontay Johnson, and Juju is also showing up at some times when we really need him. But we've been having this discussion with our friends here the other day about the special guy, the guy that could turn the game around with a play. Today, this guy is, of course, Ben Roethlisberger to us. We had one of the last plays in the game was when Ben got intercepted for the 3rd time, and that ball was kind of in Juju's hand. We've been having this discussion like, okay, maybe that guy there that left a couple of years ago, he maybe would have got that ball. Do you think that we're going in a very good direction with this offense? Claypool is evolving every time more, and he showed some unreal potential. Deontay Johnson showed himself to be a really reliable guy as well sometimes. Do you think that if Claypool keeps like this, he will eventually reach this status, like to be the turnaround guy, the guy that could decide some games in the most hard times? Or do you think we still have to add some piece here and there that like maybe we're gonna need eventually another receiver in the next year? Do you see Johnson or Juju guys that could leave soon because they're not gonna? Yeah, Juju, there's this question that if he is gonna be paid or not. But do you think that eventually we're gonna try to go for someone in this position? Do you think that Claypool is going in the right direction to become that star? How do you see this point? How do you see this that like maybe we do not have now, but we could be having this guy in a couple of years?
Well, look, I mean, it's still way early on Claypool, right? We've seen some good things for him from him so far, but we kind of probably need to just pump the brakes just a little bit on that, and let's let his rookie season play out a little bit more. Obviously, I think coverage is going to dictate in some games how effective Claypool is going to be. We saw against the Titans, I think their primary thing was they did not want Chase Claypool to beat them down the field. I think that was the big thing. They played a lot of two deep safety in that, a lot of zone, a lot of cover two zone type situations. They just did not want Ben Roethlisberger to go down the field on them, and that kind of that's the strength of Claypool. If you go back and you look at Claypool's tape from Notre Dame in college, there he was a down the field combative catcher type player there. I think that's exactly what he's going to be in the NFL. Is he going to be the next Antonio Brown when Antonio Brown was in his heyday? I think that's asking a little bit much there. But can he be a 1,200 yard receiver, 70 catches, 80 catches a season, 10 touchdowns a season kind of player? Yeah, I think he can do that. Now, look, the Steelers, right? What do they usually draft every year? Wide receivers. You go back all the way back to 2000 in the Kevin Colbert, since Kevin Colbert's been the general manager. Very rarely do they not draft at least one wide receiver in the draft. The biggest thing about Juju is, look, I think everybody would like to have Juju back if at all possible, but the salary cap situation is just going to be really, really tough on this team. And when you consider that what Juju's market value is, it's going to be tough to re-sign him. This team's going to be up against the cap next year. It's not out of the question that Juju leaves via free agency. If they can sign him, great, and I hope they do. But it's not guaranteed to happen that way yet either. So that's another long answer to your question. I think Claypool's definitely got the possibility to be a star wide receiver in the NFL. But if Juju leaves, I would expect the Steelers to go draft another wide receiver next year. I don't know, probably second, third, fourth round, right around in there.
Nice, Dave. I have a question to you. Yesterday we recorded our podcast, and I was very critical with the game plan that Randy Fitness calls on Sunday when we have advantage of 20 points and we don't run anymore. We just throw passes with Ben Roethlisberger. Was almost 50 passes in a game with the advantage that we have through the game. Today, Mike Tomlin on Tuesday was asked about this, and his answer was like, I don't care if I can move the field running or throwing the ball with Ben Roethlisberger, running with James Conner or something like that. And we know that Ben Roethlisberger and Mike Tomlin really don't care about that. We remember that famous speech that Mike Tomlin said a long time ago, that we don't have 6 running titles here, basically, and he don't care. He don't care a lot about this. But you really think this was the approach? We adapt our gameplay through the game for the Tennessee Titans defense? Because the Titans have a great zone defense, as we see through the game, and they don't have a really good defense against the run. The statistics was said about this before the game, and even with this, we don't force our running game. What is your perceptions about this? Was really Mike Tony was really don't care about how he can advance on the field, or was like Ben Roethlisberger is my attack, so let's go throw 50 passes?
Yeah, look, I personally, I had no problem with the game plan on that because they were daring Roethlisberger to kind of throw, playing a lot of that zone. And look, I mean, this as good as the running game, and the running game has been good at times this year, but let's face it, this is not an explosive play running game. James Conner and Benny Snell, just they're not the type of backs that are going to pop off a lot of the 20 or 30 or 40 yard runs there. I think that this is a passing league nowadays. You don't have to run a lot. You just have to run effectively and successfully when you do run. And look, you had to keep in today's NFL. You have to keep pressing the ball down the field more so in the air, I think, than you do via the run there. So I understand you have the big lead, that you had in that game, and probably people are saying, well, just run the ball, but you just cannot run the ball all the time like that in the NFL. And when you have a lead, you have to try to put teams away. And if Roethlisberger hits Juju and that's a touchdown late in the game instead of a nice play and an interception, are we even talking about the lack of runs there in the second half there? So personally, I think, and look, a lot of this too is dependent on these run pass options are dependent on what Ben Roethlisberger sees. So just because he passes, it might be a run play or an RPO, a run play option on a lot of these plays, and he sees the box counted up and he decides to throw. Obviously, that's not all the time like that, but I think the criticism that they didn't run enough, I disagree with that.
All right, Dave, I'd like to ask, how do you see what are your perceptions on this new offense that the Steelers are showing this season? I mean, it's clearly that they are running a different offense from the last few years, on the fact that they've been using a lot of motion. And I know they already implemented the RPO. We saw Ben Roethlisberger doing a lot of RPOs 2 years ago in 2017, but now it feels like he has even more control over it. Obviously, he has all the confidence in the world from Mike Tomlin and from Randy, Coach Randy. And how is this offense so different from the 2017 even? I feel like this offense is so much efficient, especially on the passing game. And those motions, how much is Matt Canada having an impact on that? I mean, he's a new guy in the building. I read and heard Ben saying that he has an impact, that they're implementing some of his ideas on the motions and everything that is happening in pre-snap. But how much is that changing this offense? I see that this offense is way better than it was a couple of years ago, even when we had Antonio Brown back there with them, and obviously better than last year when they had a couple of bad quarterbacks trying to run plays. But it's been much more efficient now, especially on third downs. They've been way more efficient on the passing game, and it's been something it's been quite comforting for the Steelers fans, because they're converting third downs, they're moving the ball, they're scoring in the red zone situations. Chris Boswell is not kicking too many field goals this year, not as many as he kicked last year, anyways. So how do you feel? Is the sky's the limit for this offense? How far can they go? I think we're only scratching the surface for this offense.
Yeah, here, and that's a lot to unpack there. So let me start first with the influence Matt Canada has had on the offense. Yeah, obviously he's a huge pre-snap motion guy, and we've kind of seen, an average of around 12 to 14 plays a week so far this season where there's motion at the snap of the football. However, most of those are running plays, right? So the next evolution that we need to see off of this, they're starting to have a large amount of success with running plays that have pre-snap motion involved in it. So what's the next step off of that. We need to start seeing a little bit of passing plays off of pre-snap motion. Maybe some play action fakes in there. Maybe run the wheel route off of that. Maybe take some shots down the field off that. I think you will see that. So obviously Matt Canada's influence has been good with as far as the motion goes. Now, as far as kind of comparing this offense, I don't know, 2017 and all like that, let's make no mistake about it here. The Steelers offense, really hasn't evolved all that much. It's really a lot of the same package plays. They just dress them up a little bit different, different personnel groupings, maybe a different formation, in here. Maybe you change up a route combination here and there. But make no mistake, they're not reinventing the wheel, and Ben Roethlisberger is not one that likes a lot of change anyway offensively. So what they're doing is they're doing a lot of what Ben likes to do, and then they're implementing the pre-snap motion on top of it. But look, I mean, let's face it. If you go back to 2018, and I wrote about this on Steelers Depot too, it really seemed like that season we saw a lot of dink and dunk offense, a lot of ball out quick out of Roethlisberger's hands quick, a lot of shorter passes in 2018, and that was the case. And also in 2018, it took Ben Roethlisberger a half a season to get that deep ball dialed in. If you remember that, for those first 8 games of 2018, Ben was not hit those balls more than 15 yards down the field. Let's fast forward to this season. Ben has been kind of dink and dunk Ben. He's getting the ball out in like under 2.3 seconds after the snap on average this season. His average completed yard distance is under 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. So there's a lot of short passes being completed in there. And then if you look at his deep balls so far this year, he's not hitting a lot of deep balls once again. It's almost a duplicate. He's hitting at a little bit higher rate than he did in 2018 during the first half of the season. But if you go back in time in Ben Roethlisberger's history, Ben Roethlisberger was normally good for close to 50% deep ball completion rate. Now, if he can start hitting this deep ball with a little bit more regularity in games, it's going to really start opening up this offense a lot more than it already is here. So really overall, there's not been a lot of change overall in the actual style or scheme of the offense that this team runs. It's a lot of the same stuff, just kind of prepackaged, and then you add in the motion, and that helps dress it up a little bit on it. But the counter play is still the counter play. The power run is still the power run. You still see him run a lot of mesh concepts. You see him still run a lot of Hank concepts there. That Alex writes about a lot on the site there. So as far as it being the sky is the limit, look, Ben Roethlisberger being back means a lot to this offense. Obviously, his experience, and we saw that experience against the Eagles. That you want to boil it down to what Ben Roethlisberger brings to this offense. That touchdown to Chase Claypool against the Eagles, really to put that game away. That's what Ben Roethlisberger brings to this offense. If Ben would have hit that pass down the middle of the field to Juju against the cover 2 red in that situation, if Juju comes down with that pass, we're not second guessing that play call at all. We're saying, oh man, what a great catch, what a great throw. We're not sitting here complaining about the play call in there. So the key thing right now at this point, don't turn Ben doesn't need to force the ball down the field. He needs to take what defenses give him, and we need to start seeing him when he does go down the field, start hitting that deep ball a little bit more regular than what he's been doing. If he starts doing that, I think this offense is going to be fine, because they're scoring at a high rate once they get inside the red zone.
Nice, Dave. So before we move to Sunday's game, question everyone is asking, and probably have asked you a lot, and you've been thinking about this, and you're going to write a lot about this in the next days. Trade deadline is approaching. We unfortunately lost Bush for the season. Do you see us making a move? That's going to depend on how these games against the Ravens goes. Give us your thoughts. Now, we know that you're a little bit closer to with the work you do with the Steelers Depot, a little bit closer to the team as well. Give us your thoughts on this. Do we need this trade right now? Do you think we can opt to not make a move and trust our guys right now? Like Lane came up really, really good when he had to, made that that amazing tackle on Henry, even though that cost him the rest of the game for the strength he had to do. So what do you think? Are we making this move, or do you think it's necessary?
I don't think they're going to make a move. No. Look, it's not as easy as you have to think back when Kevin Colbert has made moves too, and when the Steelers have made moves on top of it. Normally they go after guys they like and they know and they have had in the building before. Minka, but when they traded for Minka and when they traded for the for the tight end last year, those are all guys that they had. Nick Vanette, those are all guys that they had their eyes on back in those draft years. They were hard and heavy at the Alabama Pro Day, and there was pictures of Mike Tomlin with Minka Fitzpatrick, ahead of that draft. They knew they knew that they probably weren't going to be able to draft him that year if he's going to go way too early, and he did. But the thing is, they liked Minka. They liked Nick Vanette. I wish they didn't, but they did. And Nick Vanette obviously didn't work out. Now you have to think now who would be the trade candidates as we sit here right now today with as far as inside linebacker goes. There's not many of them. There's obviously the linebacker Avery Williamson over with the Jets has got a low enough salary, and then the other one is Jared Davis, the inside linebacker for the Lions. The Steelers really liked Jared Davis when he came out of Florida a couple years ago and was drafted in the first round. I don't remember them being as high on Avery Williamson there. Both those guys have the kind of salary that they could bring on, not really hurt them cap wise there. Outside of that, there's not really many choices out there to trade for. And what are you going to give up? At most you're probably going to want to give up a 5th or a 6th round draft pick. Nothing more than that, because the player that you're going to get is probably going to be just a half a season rental on top of it. So I think you can boil this down to kind of two players, either Avery Williamson or Jared Davis of the Lions. And the Lions just made a trade today with the Cowboys to get another edge rusher. So I find it hard to believe that they're going to be willing to part with Jared Davis by the end of the trade deadline, which is next week there. So I don't see it happening. I really don't. It's hard to come up with a list of names for them to go after that they can afford, that they like anyway. So I think they're going to stick with Spillane, Ulysses Gilbert III. Obviously, Marcus Allen's got moved to inside linebacker for some depth purposes. So I think they're just going to ride with what they have right now at inside linebacker, barring a couple more injuries taking place.
Thank you, Dave. I think you can go for the next part of our show, talking about this game on Sunday against the Baltimore Ravens. And my first question to you, Dave, is a concern that we have on the first half of the Texans game, that when we face a mobile quarterback, we face some difficulties, we don't get the zone coverage so good, and we give some splash plays, and the Texans walks easily on the first half. For the second half, we made some adjustments and we could come back that game. The good part is that this happens when we win. This usually happens when we lost, and the next day we make some adjustment and we come back and it's very rare. We see Mike Tomlin's team lost 2 games in a row. So great that we make some adjustments. But for Sunday against the Baltimore Ravens, this could be a problem again to us, and maybe it will be more difficult to come back than the game against the Texans. What is your thoughts about this?
Well, look, Lamar Jackson, he's an extremely talented quarterback, right? You look, man, and yeah, it's fair to kind of compare him to Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson's a much better passer, much better pocket presence as a true passer right now than Lamar Jackson. Look, Lamar Jackson, give me Lamar Jackson if you want to get him on the run and all like that. But if you want a mobile quarterback quarterback with a better arm that probably sees the field better, that reads defenses better, I would probably take Deshaun Watson. Now that's not me talking bad about Lamar Jackson. That's just me analyzing the two quarterbacks. Obviously, you have to try to contain Lamar Jackson because he can beat you with his feet. We've seen that time and time again. And if we have seen him use his arm effectively in some games. He loves hitting those tight ends of his. Mark Andrews is a guy that the Steelers are really going to have to do a good job on. And Marquise Brown, the wide receiver, the little wide receiver over there, is another one that you have to keep your eye on. But we saw, if you go back to the Week 5 game in 2019 against the Ravens, the Steelers did a fantastic job on Lamar Jackson there. They, I think it was something like 19 of 28 passing for 161 yards. I think Lamar Jackson had one passing touchdown in that game and they intercepted him 3 times in that game. And you got to remember, they had Cameron Kelly, I think, still in the secondary at the time. This defense is a little bit better, or should be a little bit better than the defense that they took to Baltimore last year. So the big thing is you can't let Lamar Jackson run 20 yards at a time on you. Additionally, you have to shut down that Ravens power running game because they're going to try to run Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, and KJ Dobbins. That's what they do. They're going to bring the 2 to 3 tight ends out there. They're going to line it up and they're going to try to run on the Steelers, and they're trying to run play action off that. They're going to try to get the ball to their tight ends. But the biggest thing is go back and watch that Week 5 game against the Ravens from last year again, and watch how they made sure to try to keep Lamar Jackson inside the pocket. I think you give up maybe trying to get so many sacks against him by just trying to keep him in the pocket. I want the best plan you can have going into this game is to make Lamar Jackson throw that football at least 30 times in the game, because he's going to make a mistake the more he puts that ball in the air. So yeah, you can't. This is a game that can get away from the Steelers very quick because the Ravens defense is obviously a lot better than the Texans defense there is as well too. So the best thing the Steelers can do is not let Lamar Jackson run crazy on him. Make Lamar Jackson put the ball in the air 30 or more times. That's how you beat the Ravens this year.
Yeah, you gotta force Lamar to throw the ball, especially to the outside, to beat this Ravens team. It's gonna be a challenge. Dave, I have a question for you, but it's actually now on the other side of the ball. I think I'm much more worried about the Ravens defense in this game. I think they have a championship defense this year. I think that's the best part of the team, best unit for sure. It's their defense. They have a couple of great cornerbacks. They have a great pass rush, and especially now with the addition of Yannick Ngakoue. They have now an elite pass rush, and also Matthew Judon, Calais Campbell, Brendan Williams. It's a great defense all around. Patrick Queen is already having a great year from his rookie year coming out of LSU, I think. It's been a great year for them, defensively speaking. I think they only lost to Kansas City this year, if I'm not mistaken. They lost to Kansas City, and that's an offense that can throw the ball. They can move the chains apparently whenever they want because they have such a talent in Patrick Mahomes. How do we beat this defense? I'm much more worried about their defense, about beating their defense, about beating this Baltimore defense than I'm worried about stopping their run game and forcing Lamar to throw the ball to their receivers, which I don't find to be great playmakers as people think them to be. Aside from Marquise Brown, how do you play? How do you plan against a defense like that? It's such a great defense. They have no soft spots, at least not when I look at the paper.
Well, basically overall too, what you want to do is you want to start off the game like you started off the game against the Titans. The Ravens offense cannot score on you if they're not on the field. We saw the Steelers offense take the opening kickoff and burn up half of the first quarter there on a long drive, and then they put it into the end zone on top of it. So sometimes your best offense can be your best defense, and that's what we saw in that first half of that game against the Titans. Now, secondly, how do you attack? Now, I'm still, you got to remember this is Tuesday. I'm still, I'm early in getting into the Baltimore Ravens tape right now, on the all 22 and looking back at more of their games from this season. But what I see from this defense so far, Patrick Queen. Look, you want to talk about a rookie that's really having a good year and did get a lot of time during the offseason due into the pandemic and all like that. It's Patrick Queen. He's really playing good football to start off with. But this Ravens defense can be run on a little bit there, especially off of left guard and especially off of around right end. Those are two areas with them. In fact, I think the Ravens are last in the league. Their defense is last in the league on runs to left guard. I think opposing offenses are averaging like 8.67 yards on 24 runs that way. It's a small sample size for sure, but I think you can see where I'm going on this. You got David DeCastro back. You got an offense that runs fairly well to the left side naturally there. So I think you want to mix in some power run. You need to get your guards on the move with David DeCastro and Matt Fodder. I think you need to try to see if you can run on these guys early. Second, they've got some real talented corners over there, obviously. And you got to watch out for Humphrey because he'll you catch it and he'll knock the ball out. I think he's got 4 forced fumbles already this season, and it's pretty strong when Jimmy Smith is really their third corner over there right now. But they, in the situations where they like to play man to man, when they like to come up and press, that's the time that Ben needs to take his shots. Okay, he's got the receivers to do it. Juju and Deontay and Washington and Claypool, every one of those guys. I think you can see Juju work good out of the slot once again. I think this game, especially if the Ravens play a lot of man coverage in this game, I think Juju out of the slot is good. It's been a while since we've kind of seen Juju kind of run that slot fade as well too, that he's had some success with during his career here. So I think you establish the run. I think you got to take what they give you underneath most of the time here, and then when you get the opportunity and you get the one deep safety and those corners kind of pressing on the outside, you got to try to take your shots down the field and connect that way. That's how you're going to beat this Ravens defense. You got to have explosive plays on them, and if the Steelers cannot hit 5, 6, 7 explosive plays in this game, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to win for sure because of that defense being so good. So run, try to run early, try to run a lot of that power, get those guards on the move, and try to take your shots deep when you see the single high man coverage from the Ravens cornerbacks.
Perfect, Dave. Thank you so much for your answers about the game on Sunday. We ask here on our Twitter to people for your fans in Brazil to talk about. We talked that you are with us right now, so I have to register some messages to you. Like Felipe says, your program is great. Vitor also say your show is really, really great. Erika too. Igor, Gibrica Chaldantas, Melina, Ortiz, Lucas Basil said that it's the feat of the two better podcasts about the Steelers that he knows. It's truly an honor for us to be the same level. Of course, we're not the same level as the Terrible Podcast. Maybe one day we can get there. We are working for that. But Lucas said that's the best podcast that I have about the Steelers. Also, Wagner's talking about the show. And some people here, David, I asked to some people from Brazil to make some questions to you. And a lot of people here is asking about that you have some notion that the Steelers have a huge fan base here in Brazil. Your perceptions about that, if you feel on your mention on the Steelers Depot when you were on Twitter or even on your the Terrible Podcast. We have Kyle here that he always send an email to your show, and always when you read, he's very, very happy. He always talks, David, read my message. And it's pretty cool. I always listen to, and it's pretty cool. And the people here wants to know if you have some notion that you have some fans, you and Alex have some fans here in Brazil, in your perception about this.
Yeah, look, I mean, we know for years, just as fans that there's a lot of huge fan base not only in Mexico but over in Brazil where you are, that Steelers Nation is huge over there. I mean, Steeler Nation is worldwide. And it's easy when you do what I do, and you probably know this as well. It's easy to get caught up in what you do that you don't realize the kind of reach that you have. Okay. You think, okay, I'm sitting here in Las Vegas and Alex is in, outside of Pittsburgh, and those are the only people who are here is in Pittsburgh. But then you get the emails, we read emails and they come in from Brazil and Australia and Ireland, and that's what really kind of opens your eyes when you take a minute and you see, wow, look how far this podcast and this site reaches. So we don't take it for granted, no, but every once in a while we have to sit back and we say, oh wow, look at that. We have to keep reminding ourselves. But yeah, absolutely, and it's an honor that we are so big over there. And when I started this way back in 2000, I started a site I think like 2008, and I think the podcast in 2010. Never did I imagine that it would get as big as it is now. So we love all of our listeners there in Brazil, and feel free to email the show, and anytime you guys want to have me back on, just let me know. I'll be glad to sit back in with you guys.
Nice, Dave. As I said again, it's truly an honor to us have you here. And to finish the show, I don't know if you are comfortable for this. And when I talked to you more earlier on Twitter, I said we will teach you to speak Portuguese, to speak some words in Portuguese. Here in Brazil, we have a kind with Mika Fitzpatrick. Here in Brazil, when we have the trade of Mika Fitzpatrick, a lot of analysts from Brazil that analyze the NFL, and we have like a crew from ESPN and everything like that. And when have the trade for Mika Fitzpatrick, a lot of people said, oh, he don't worth a first round pick. You don't give your first round pick for a player like Mika Fitzpatrick. In the situation that the Steelers were, you lost your franchise quarterback. Use this pick to pick some quarterback on first round next year. It's too, here we say caro. It's an expensive trade. So if you have to talk Portuguese word, we just want to say, if you are comfortable, of course, to say caro. Mika Fitzpatrick, it's caro. So ironize all these analysts here in Brazil that said that Mika Fitzpatrick is not a word for the trade that we did last year.
Okay, so what do you want me to say?
Caro.
Caro. Caro. Is that right?
Yes, Mika Fitzpatrick's caro.
Almost there. Good.
It developed as a meme here in Brazil, because every splash play that he made last year, there would be this rain of tweets saying hashtag caro, making this funny trend that he was an expensive trade, and obviously it turned out not to be.
And you should see Ricardo here attended a game last year, and he was on the stands when Minka made a play, and he made a bunch of Pittsburghers, a bunch of Wisers say caro in the video. That was like amazing to see.
Cara.
Yes,
That's exactly what happened in the video.
I can show to you, after last year, I have the great opportunity to go to the Heinz Field from Brazil, to go to Pittsburgh to watch a Steelers game. It was really a dream come true. And was the Rams game. And at the end of the game, when Joe Hayden tipped the ball, Mika Fitzpatrick made the interception to close that game. The people were crazy, and I was with my phone, and I have a bunch of people from Pittsburgh by my side, and they know that I'm from Brazil. I was talking to him all the game, and I was Mika Fitzpatrick, it's caro. And I record both of them and say Mika Fitzpatrick's caro, and they caro. It's a trend here in Brazil when we're talking about Mika Fitzpatrick. I can show to you this video we have here on our Twitter, and I can show to I send to you to you see. It's great.
Okay, do that. Yeah, send it to me.
So this was our show. Kaique and Caio, you have something to talk with them. Dave? Or if both of you don't have, let's close the show and thanks Dave for him to join us today.
I just wanted to say thank you so much, Dave, for showing up to accept our invitation and be here with us. It's a truly honor. We've been follow you and Alex and the amazing work you've been done for this past. Yeah, you've been said almost 20 years. I've been following you for like 10, I think. And wow, I never thought I'll be here chatting with you about the Steelers, our great passion here. So thank you very much once again to join us. It's been a truly honor to speak to you here. And well, until next time.
Yeah, my pleasure. Let's do it again sometime for sure.
Yeah. I want to say basically the same thing that Kaique said. It's an honor to be with you here today in this show, and definitely wanted to let you know that you, Alex, all the guys that work in the Steelers Depot, you guys inspire us for sure to study the game, to learn more and more about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's great. It's great to have you. We appreciate that you took the time to be here with us. It's really, really cool, and it's been fun, and hopefully let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely, and keep watching the tape. The tape does not lie. Keep watching the tape.
Yep.
Yeah.
We sure did. Sure did.
In all 22 here in Brazil, I don't know in USA for the NFL Game Pass, but here the all 22 is just available at the end of the week, like Thursday, sometimes on Friday. So when we watch the tape, it's maybe too late, even, and because you and Alex do a awesome job, and all the Steelers Depot crew to give the anatomy of each Steelers game. So it's great. It's always a class to us when we're listening your podcast and reading the website, the tweets. It's always a class and give us too much. And we try to do our best to give to the Steelers fans in Brazil the same thing that you provide for the Steelers fans all around the world. Dave, thank you again so much for your participation, and I will let you finish our show today. Give your last words, and we are done for today.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and yeah, it means a lot to me that once again, I appreciate you guys having me on, and we feel the love that you have there and your listeners have there, and all the followers there in Brazil as well too. So yeah, it means a lot to us, and I'm glad we were able to carve out some time on this Tuesday and get together on the show for the first time. And we'll try to do it again, maybe a little bit 3, 4, 5, 6 games from now. Hopefully the Steelers will keep winning, and hopefully they'll bring a 7th Lombardi trophy back to Heinz Field this year.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you so much.
Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. Here we go.
ET is Ryan Seacrest here. People always say it's good to unwind, but that's easier said than done. The exception, Chumba Casino. They actually make it easier done than said, or at least the same. Chumba Casino is an online social casino with hundreds of casino-style games like slots and blackjack. Play for fun. Play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Sign up now and collect your free welcome bonus at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.